Welcome to the Right Time Podcast. The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. You can send us a tweet to the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. That is at Bomani_Jones. Heartbreaking loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers last night. By the way, LeBron put up 39-9. That's what it was, right? 39-9. 39-9. I think I said 35-9 last hour, but no, 39-9. That's what he put up. And they lost. Right? Like, he's basically averaging a triple-double for these finals. And it's L.
He is averaging triple-double. 32, 12, and 10. And
it doesn't matter. Right? Like, it does not matter because the other team has so many players. So many. And here's LeBron just saying he can't think of a team that's been this good on offense.
Before the series even started, we knew we was dealing with I said it after we won the East Conference Finals, that we're getting ready for a juggernaut. I mean, it's probably the most firepower, I've played in my career. I've played against some great teams, but I don't think no team has had this type of firepower. So even when you playing well, you got to play like, A++, because they're going to make runs and they're going to make shots and they got guys that's going to make plays. So, we made enough plays tonight to still win the ball game, but they made a couple more.
Man, this series is a wrap. Right, and I kind of feel bad for him because that's a man with pride, right? And we are already at the point where we're like, hey, LeBron, tell us how good these other guys are. Like that's where we are with him. Like, they dope, ain't they? What? We still played it? All right, you're right. Yeah, they dope. Yeah, they dope. Like, LeBron seems to have, like, the foresight and the wherewithal to recognize that it's okay to just chuck the deuce on this one, but you can't do that out loud. However, somebody asked LeBron today if the Warriors roster was fair.
Is it fair? I don't care. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, it's great for our league. I mean, right now, look at our TV ratings. Look at the money our league is pouring in. I mean, guys are loving the game. Our fans love the game. I mean, who am I to say if it's fair or not? I mean, no matter who am I going against, if I'm going against, 4 Hall of Famers, like I said before the series started with Draymond, Clay, Steph, and KD, or if I'm going against 2 or whatever the case may be, I'm always excited to play the game, and I'm not one to judge or say if it's fair or not if guys are adding, players to their team. So, I mean, that's what you want to do. I mean, is it fair that the New York Yankees in the 90s was adding piece after piece after piece after piece? I mean, if you have the opportunity to do that, is it fair that the Cowboys added Deion Sanders? I mean, listen, it happens. It's sports. You can have an opportunity to sign one of the best players, and you can do it. Go ahead and do it. Why not? If I become an owner, I'm going to try to sign everybody. Appreciate it.
First of all, I love if I become an owner because he totally wants to be an owner, and that would be like the greatest thing to ever happen if you got to this point, number one. Number two, guys, have you noticed that LeBron James basically put Klay Thompson and Draymond Green in the Hall of Fame? And I say that because today is the first day I've ever heard anybody refer to the Warriors as having 4 Hall of Famers, and then I heard LeBron say it, and I'm like, oh, that's where they got this from. Okay. LeBron just put Klay Thompson in the Hall of Fame. I mean, Klay Thompson's defense is helping with that too. But, yeah, LeBron just put these cats into the Hall of Fame. The other thing I find interesting there is I don't think if there's anybody in this world who cannot say, no, I think it's unfair for such a thing to happen, I don't think LeBron can do that. I feel like he's got a track record that makes it kind of impossible for him to say there's something wrong with being able to put the team together like that. That being said, when the Heat put their thing together with Bosh and Wade, I mean, it was basically Bosh and Wade and a bunch of dudes on the minimum. We love to bring this up around here. Does anybody here remember who played point guard in the first game of the 2010-2011 season for the Miami Heat? If you had Carlos Arroyo, you are the winner. The Heat signed Mike Bibby during that season to play point, and he got a standing ovation. Right, a standing ovation because they were so thin. The thing that's crazy about the Warriors is they figured out how to do this in such a way where they got these dudes and some level of depth. Like, they have size, right? Like what don't they have? They have size. They got guys that can handle the ball. They got guys who can shoot. They got guys who can play defense. They got a guy like Sean Livingston who can come in and give you that awkward herky-jerky stuff, right? Like, They've got it all, and it's within the salary cap. Of course, largely made possible by the whole Steph Curry thing. Like I heard Brian Windhurst say this today. Cavs payroll is $28 million higher than the Warriors payroll. But let's be real. How many millions of those are the Steph Curry discount? Right? Like, that's there. But no, the Warriors, that's the thing about this is, there's no way to say that the Warriors did this and it wasn't fair. What amazes me is how all of a sudden you guys get socialist when it comes to your basketball, right? I can't think of any other time in professional sports that we have asked the question as to whether or not it's unfair that a team is as good as it is under a salary cap, right? Like LeBron mentioned the Yankees and he mentioned the Cowboys. By the way, the teams he roots for because he likes the teams that he likes to be the banker on Oregon Trail. Now, he mentioned all like the Yankees. The Yankees were doing that where there was no salary cap, which I do think raised a legitimate question of fairness because they had more revenue, so forth and so on, right? There's a cap in the NBA. The Warriors were just smart enough to figure out how to do this. And, you know, I'm not here for this Joe Lacob thing, and I hate the arrogance that he has about how important ownership and da-da-da and everything is just to make sure you know it's not all about the players, even though it's always all about the players. But, hey, man, how can I knock them on this? They found a way to redo this to get Kevin Durant. Like, it was think about this. It was a magic trick for the Cavs to figure out how to make the cap space for LeBron without us knowing they were doing it. So they made the cap space for LeBron, then on top of that figured out how to make a trade and get Kevin Love. That was really, really impressive. The Warriors figured out how to take a team with 73 wins and to add Kevin Durant to it. We need another guy who can get his own shot. Hey, how about Kevin Durant? You guys think we might want Kevin Durant? Huh. Isn't that something? By the way, we've also got this from LeBron talking about Kevin Durant and his career.
With all the success that he's gotten throughout his career, I've always been proud of him and always excited to see him grow as a player. I don't think that our careers are the same as far as changing teams. You know, their team was already kind of put together, and you just implement a guy that's ready to sacrifice, a great talent, a guy that's willing to do whatever it takes to help the team win. But that team, they knew what they were about, and he just had to come in and just do what he had to do, and that's what he's been doing. For me, when I left here to go to Miami, we had to build something. You know, we brought in, 8 or 9 guys, and we had to build something. And when I came back here, we built something again. But I can definitely appreciate the simple fact of him either reshaping his game or just sacrificing maybe some shots here, sacrificing having the ball in his hands, all the time. Who wouldn't want to sacrifice playing on a Golden State team or a San Antonio team or a Cleveland team when you know the ultimate result can actually compete for a championship?
A little humble brag there from LeBron, by the way. I mean, he's right about this. He's like, look, we got to Miami. There was nothing. Like, we had to build this thing from the ground up. He was like, they was already over there waiting. Kevin Durant just showed up. I mean, he ain't got to take as many shots anymore. Little humble brag. Little humble brag. And I don't blame him, by the way, because I think that's an underrated part of that thing with the Heat was they built this from the ground up. Where with Durant, it's like, how do I work this one guy in? With the Heat, it was, how do we work this whole damn thing? Like, how do we figure out this whole system? But no, it ain't unfair that the Warriors got all these players. They figured it out. Like, this is not one where you're like, hold on, you guys got too many good players. Let somebody else have some good players. Look, how weak is that? Right? Like, what'd you ask for? You want scholarship limits? Like, that's what it sounds like what they want of the pros is scholarship limits. You have all the walk-ons, but no, y'all can't give us so many scholarships. No, man, they pulled this off. They figured this out. And I'm going to pull up their roster right fast to make sure I get this right, because what I think is perhaps the most interesting thing about the Warriors is people talk about this with the defense for the Seattle Seahawks, where so many of their top guys are the same age, so they all came to prime together, and then it'll get kind of, when it declines, it'll all decline together. Look, man, so many of these dudes are the same age just about. JaVale McGee, born in 88. Steph Curry, born in 88. Kevin Durant, born in 88. Klay Thompson, born in 90. Draymond Green, born in 90. Like, the rise of these guys is happening basically at the same time. This system is not built for you to not only have all these guys, but have them all getting good at the same time. The fun, however, is going to be the next time everybody's due to get paid. Because the fact that they're all making their rise at the same time means that they're kind of sort of all set to get paid at the same time. And what this system is not designed for is for all your dudes to get paid at the same time. All right, 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, we heard a little something about what LeBron tried to do before he came to the Cavs. Would you believe that he tried to basically get rid of the owner? Find out how on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. Rick Fox of NBA TV will join us next segment. Rick Fox will join us at 5:30 Eastern to talk about his life as the greatest recruiter in the history of basketball movies. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. Shannon ducking his head like you ain't the one who came up with that line.
I forgot about that one. That's good.
So we've been talking about these NBA Finals, Game 3. It really ain't nothing to talk about because the finals are Billy Packer over. I don't think there's any other way to look at it. It is about a wrap on those. So now we're just getting into, like, entertaining stuff that people have said that is somewhat tangential to the NBA Finals. And old friend of the network, Dan Patrick, on his show, passed on this very interesting anecdote that he had heard, but we are not reporting. We are simply saying it's speculation.
So what I was told last night is LeBron was willing to go back to Cleveland, but he wanted ownership, the Cavaliers' ownership, to buy the Pistons. And the Pistons' ownership would take over the Cavaliers.
So basically they would trade owners?
Yes. You were going to have Tom Izzo coaching. Izzo, friends with the guys who own the Pistons. They were then going to take over the Cavaliers. Dan Gilbert, who's a Michigan guy, would get to then own the Pistons. And LeBron would then be able to play in Cleveland.
Wow. Right? Now, that is courtesy of the Audience Network. And, okay, guys, I want to repeat this again because my boss has sent an email to make sure that I was clear on this. We don't know if this is true, right? We don't know if this is 100% true. But, my goodness, raise your hand if you hope it's true. Because I hope it's true, because that is a great story on about 15 different levels. Number one, the audacity that you would have to have as LeBron James to be like, okay, I want to come back to Cleveland. All I want the owner to do is get rid of the team. Who in the hell is going to own an NBA team and be like, hey, man, I think you ought to sell the team. Why do you think I should sell it? Oh, because LeBron wants to come. And you think I'm about to sell it? Right? Like this team I had, this team I bought, you think I should sell it because LeBron's on the way? Well, LeBron don't really rock with you. I don't care. I don't rock with LeBron neither. But I would love to own him. I mean, own the team that he plays for. That is where they are on that one. Whoa. I just can't imagine having the clout to even have it in my mind to be like, look, here's what we about to do. We about to get Dan to sell the team. Like, that's who you got to be. There may be better basketball players than LeBron James, but yo, Michael Jordan couldn't even get these teams to sign his homeboys. LeBron James out here like, nah, I'm going to get Dan Gilbert to get rid of the team so that I can play for them. And by the way, it made sense on a number of levels. I don't know how many of you guys know this, but Dan Gilbert, I mean, he said he's a Michigan guy. Dan Gilbert is very big in the rebuilding of Detroit. Like, it would honestly make more sense for Dan Gilbert to be the owner of the Pistons than it does for him to be the owner of the Cavaliers. The other part of this interesting story with Dan Patrick saying that LeBron wanted to try to get Dan Gilbert to trade, what was his name, Goris, that owns the Pistons. He wanted to get them to trade teams. If I'm not mistaken, Dan Gilbert has wanted to hire Tom Izzo. So LeBron would have been also twist the knife. Like, yeah, I'm going to get to keep Izzo. How about you go get the Pistons? How gangster is that? Like, seriously, how gangster is that?
If all things being equal, if you're the Pistons ownership, you're like,
Oh, if you're all things being equal, if you're the Pistons ownership, ain't no It's like, how do we make this happen? Right? So you telling me I get the team that has LeBron? Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. Like, if the word ever got to them that this was an option, them dudes ain't got no emotional attachment to the Pistons. They just trying to get some bread. And as Dan Gilbert, LeBron James is like a mint. He is like printing bread. Oh, man, they'd have done that one in a heartbeat if that would have come up. A heartbeat. But the other thing I like about this story, this idea that LeBron James would ask Dan Gilbert to get rid of basically take the Pistons instead of the Cavs so that he could come back to the Cavs. it makes me feel a little bit better about this whole thing of LeBron James going back to play for Dan Gilbert. Because I know I'm not the only person. And when he said he was going back to Cleveland, I mean, I wasn't so keen on the idea of him bringing pleasure to the Cleveland fans that openly wish death upon him. Not all of them wish death upon him, but a lot of them seem to wish death upon him. It was really Dan Gilbert. I'm like, bro, you can't go back to sign no check signed by Dan Gilbert, man. You can't do that. Like, at some point, we all got to draw a line. And I had to say, I was just like, okay, well, look, man. If LeBron has found some way to make peace with it, I got to find a way to make peace with it. I just can't believe that he's actually going to go and take Dan Gilbert's money. I can't believe he doesn't even need the money. I can't believe he's going to take Dan Gilbert's money. And then I ultimately thought about it, and I was like, look, if he really thinks that going back to Ohio is that big a thing, then this is a sacrifice that he's got to make. Some will argue that it's a sacrifice of a little bit of his dignity, but a sacrifice nonetheless. And I personally am ecstatic to find out that LeBron felt the same way that I felt about this and was like, hey, I'll go back if Dan Gilbert gets rid of the team. In fact, that might have been how this whole Cleveland idea came up. Somebody was like, hey, well, maybe you should go back to Cleveland. Yeah, how about this? How about I go back to Cleveland when we get Dan Gilbert up out of there and he owns the Pistons? And somebody was like, hold my beer. I'll go look into that right now. Because if that's what it takes to get LeBron to come, you do it, right? Although I don't know how it goes because it's owner versus owner. Like, how do you inquire about this thing without talking to, the owner? Don't have a great answer for that. Don't have one.
This Gilbert-LeBron relationship is still very interesting to me. The fact that they're finding a way to coexist, and the team has had a levels. Obviously, they've been successful since LeBron's been back, but I'm just still very, very fascinated by the two somehow making it work.
I will say this. Calling it a relationship implies they have a relationship. I think they got it. You own the team. I play for the team. You ain't got to talk to me. I ain't got to talk to you. Like, think about this. If the trade was, if you're Dan Gilbert, and it's like, look, LeBron wants to come back, and LeBron tells you, here's the thing, though. If I come back, don't ever speak to me. If you're Dan Gilbert, you make that trade, right? Right? You're like, how dare you? Okay. Well, I mean, is it okay to tell you is it okay to tell you I'm not going to talk to you? Like, does that start after I say I'm not going to talk to you? Or did this all, like, I feel like this is a test, LeBron. Are you testing me to see if I'm going to, I just want to tell you whatever it takes.
I just think of the scenario now. Do you think those two have been in the same elevator since LeBron's been back? Like they try so hard to probably avoid each other. Like, hold that. Oh, you know what? I'll take the stairs.
No,
I'll take the stairs. I'm good.
He had the awkward. I had one of those where I went to this work trip where I had some dude I had some beef with a few years ago trying to run up on me and shake my hand. I gave him the softest handshake and walked away. Why? I still don't rock with you, dog. And that's what fascinates me. Brought to you by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keeping cars running newer, longer. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. All right, coming up next with the 2001 Lakers beat these Warriors. We'll talk to NBA TV's Rick Fox about that next on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. The weather is getting warmer. Summer is almost here. Now's the time to get Saxx underwear. Whether you're traveling, working out, or just trying to get through the heat, Saxx has what you need to stay comfortable with total support. These are like no other brand you've tried. In fact, an editor from Men's Health called Saxx life-changing after wearing the product. Saxx underwear is designed for guys to move around freely in total comfort. Every pair has moisture-wicking benefits in their patented ballpark pouch. Try Saxx underwear or give the man in your life life-changing underwear for Father's Day. Go to SaxxUnderwear.com. That's SAXX Underwear.com to find a location near you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, just like our next guest. He is an analyst for NBA TV. NBA TV is the destination for NBA studio programming through the NBA Finals, NBA Draft, Free Agency, and Summer League. He's also the owner of the esports team Echo Fox. He's the greatest recruiter in the history of college basketball, and his name is Rick Fox. So, Rick, before we get to, like, this actual series, you were on the 2001 Lakers, and this is one of the few teams that comes up when people talk about teams that could compete with the Warriors. How do you think your squad would do against these guys?
Oh, it'd be a battle. I think we'd lie, obviously, in certain areas of the floor. We'd be maybe favored. I mean, you start with Shaq, and you have to think that Shaq would create a huge problem for the Warriors as constructed. I'm sure they'd argue that Shaq would have to keep up with the pace. But I thought, in playing with Shaq for 8 years, I thought he was pretty mobile, and pretty athletic, but he was also pretty powerful and really collapsed a lot of defensive energy from any team when it came to controlling the paint. So I start there, and then I leave the rest to be debated by everyone else.
Well, I wondered this about Shaq. Like, how do you think Shaq would translate to the modern game? Because we got a whole generation now that's going to know nothing of the dominant post center like Shaq was.
Well, I mean, I think he would force this era to have to deal with him. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the greatest players of the game that have dominated eras forced the other 29 teams to obviously shift to their excellence. I mean, Jordan did it. Now we're seeing it being done by the Warriors. Everyone's chasing them. I think if Shaq was to be dropped in the middle of this era right now, I think you'd see a lot of people trying to play the way the team that had Shaq was playing.
All right, we are talking to Rick Fox on the right time. So with last night's game, do you have any criticism of LeBron for not taking that last shot and instead passing to Kyle Korver?
No, because it's in character. The same things that have made LeBron great over the years. His unselfishness, his willingness to play the game the right way and to make the plays and to trust his teammates, regardless if it's him taking a shot or having to pass it on. It's not in his nature to second guess that. It just happens in a split second. I would have liked in that last 3 minutes if I'm a Cavs fan, or to have had more of LeBron, putting some of those some of the Cavs on their shoulders and maybe taking some more of those shots, but I just think they're up against, and he knew it going in. The Cavs knew it going in, but they're going to still try and compete to win a championship. They're just up against one of the greatest teams ever.
Now, with this Warriors team, I guess I had some questions about how easy it would be to integrate Kevin Durant into this offense and everything else that they did. Are you surprised that they've gotten as good as they have in this first year?
No. I thought this result was what we were heading for back in July 4th of last year. His versatility, and I think the defensive end of the floor was really something that we did not maybe celebrate or appreciate as much, because the offensive end from Kevin was so consuming in terms of entertainment and style and skill set. But just knowing that the Golden State Warriors defended in the first place already as a team for 2 years, were committed to that end of the floor, but yet were so proficient offensively, adding that piece to the equation, I thought it would take them some minutes, some time to do, which it did. But some of those guys had played together on the Olympic team. So there was a shorthand already. These guys knew each other. And then when you're talking about the basketball IQ of the greatest players in the game, regardless of the era, you give them 30 games together, all that stuff's going to work out, and they're just going to roll the way they've rolled the rest of the year.
All right, we're talking to Rick Fox of NBA TV on the right time. Now, with the Cavs, we've also kind of started looking toward the future because the series seems to be over in large part. What do you think they need to do with this roster in order to get to a place where they can compete with the Warriors?
Well, look, you could argue that LeBron may be vindicated by his push to improve the Cavs in the middle of the season there, and they brought in additions and they kept tinkering. But I thought the matching that they were looking to come up with was they were looking to match the Warriors offensively, which was, I could understand going down that road because of the way the Warriors score the basketball. You'd think, okay, well, this is an era where you better be able to put the ball in the basket or you're going to get left behind and be in a full-blown chase for 48 minutes. But they obviously are lacking the defense right now. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, Kevin Love, those three guys to me are offense enough. You need the other 8 guys with specialties beyond just being great three-point shooters. You need some guys that can actually defend and rebound and be physical and be playmakers as well. And so they fall short in that department right now. Although they played a great game 3, I thought they were there. I thought they were right there, except for the last few minutes of that game.
All right, we're talking to Rick Fox on the right time. Now, with Kevin Durant, he's probably been the best player in this series. Has anything really changed about his game this season, or is it just the location that he's in?
The location helps a lot because the attention is spread equally across some other great players in that lineup that's on the floor with him. You have to stay with Clay. And especially when Clay gets off to the start he did in the first quarter last night. Everyone's talking about, well, Clay might be the weak link to the series when we started the series. He hasn't been shooting the ball well, but come on. The guy plays both ends of the floor. You knew it eventually he was going to have a breakout quarter or let alone a breakout game. and he's had a couple of them now in the last two. You got to stay home with Steph Curry. Like, these are individuals that are MVPs and maybe the best two guard in the game. So you can't. It's going to free Kevin Durant up, who in his own right is an MVP. So it's just, I think it's just the spacing and the ability for him to move, with more ease and free on the offensive end of the floor is what's created, this result for him.
All right, we are talking to Rick Fox on the right time. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We say that you are the owner of the esports team, Echo Fox. How did you get into this?
I've been a gamer my whole life. I mean, I found gaming, that was pretty much the trigger to my competitive side. I found it before basketball. And so I played games throughout my life, and it was a father-son joy. I spent time with my son. He's now a game designer and then makes video games. He more or less introduced me to this era, as you talk about an era, this era and wave of professional gamers that have become professional sports and per se, and has really kind of banged down the door and hit mainstream in the last 2 years. Mainstream America is starting to discover it, but what was a niche audience of gamers that are now starting to make, in some cases in the globe, millions of dollars to play and master the games they play. They fill Staples Center, they fill Madison Square Garden. They surpass the numbers and viewership than you would get for the NBA Finals or for many other major league sporting events. So, I just happened to discover it through my son. Being a gamer myself, it's easy for me to be involved in, and I would have great partners, great business partners that have decided to commit to this next generation of professional sports. And it's exciting. People are discovering it and understanding it more and more, and it has become my life.
Now, I'm curious because I'm sure your perspective on this has changed as you've been closer to it, but you said your son is a video game designer. If your son had come to you and said, Dad, I'm going to be a professional video game player, how much different would your thought have been then versus what you know now from being around it?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is something that I've obviously been educated on for about the last 5 years. Something I've myself, being a former professional athlete, was able to talk to other professional gamers and to see them at work and to see the mastery with which they're competing at, and to understand the same stresses and pressures that I was faced with, and the same presence where they compete in arenas with 20,000 people. All the things that they do to prepare themselves. It's a different skill set, a different mastery level, just like as we line up all the professional, competitive sporting expressions out there in the world. If we're going to do who's the greatest gladiator, yeah, I've been doing that with football friends of mine for years. We're more athletic than you guys, or we sweat more than you guys, or we're stronger than you guys, we're faster than you guys. But at the end of the day, everyone uses 360 of their body, right, from head to toe, all around, right, and the difference in the legendary. To me, the legendary athletes of all time have been what they're working with from the shoulders up. They see the game differently. They work mentally differently. And the ease with which they make things appear to where you as an average weekend warrior would think, well, I could do that. And then you go out and try it. And then you discover, oh, no, I can't do that. Well, you realize they put in the hours and the hours and hours of mastery to get to that place to make something look so effortless, right? And so it's no different with these professional gamers. The delicacy with which they use their arm or their hands or their eyes and the process that they work mathematically in their head to process all this stuff at the speed with which they do, I can spread that across any sport and find comparisons, whether it's a baseball player that's it's great movement in his arm and understands how to mechanically use that part of his body to a driver in a NASCAR race car. It's different. Everyone masters specific areas in their craft, and I like to celebrate that. I like to be around the best of the best, regardless of what field it is. Mastery is always entertaining and impressive to me.
All right, that is Rick Fox. He's the owner of the Echo Fox esports team. Also, check him out on NBA TV, the destination for NBA studio programming through the NBA Finals, NBA Draft, Free Agency, and Summer League. Thanks so much, my man. I appreciate it.
All right, Bomani.
All right, now. Yes, sir. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, creators of the Name Your Price tool. Choose from a range of coverage options. Pick the price that works for you.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks to Rick Fox for joining us last segment. John Buccigross of ESPN will join us in the 6 o'clock Eastern hour. 888-729-3776. That is our telephone number. We're going to switch off from talking about the finals while kind of still talking about the finals because there's a story involving a player who is on one of the finalists. Well, kind of. All right. So what had happened was apparently Derek Fisher has been charged with a DUI. He was driving a 2015 Cadillac Escalade. The Escalade flipped after hitting a guardrail. He was in the car with his girlfriend at the time. His girlfriend is Gloria Govan, who, used to be married to Matt Barnes. Are they still, have they put the papers in? They're not as married as they used to be. But at one point, they were very married, right? And that 2015 Escalade is registered to Matt Barnes. And apparently the reason that she has that Escalade is so she could drive the kids around. And instead, Derek Fisher was flipping it over a guardrail after he had been drinking. And nobody has asked Matt Barnes about this in the locker room yet. We got this media availability. Y'all so interested in the boring quotes from Steph and Kevin Durant that nobody's come over to Matt Barnes and been like, yo, I know you're not going to take this, right? Like, come on, man. Streets already told us Matt Barnes will jump in the whip and go down the freeway to go handle some business. Like, we know that this has happened. It was the issue. You know what it is? This happened during the NBA Finals. Because if this had happened during the Western Conference Finals, Matt Barnes down there. I don't care what time the game is tomorrow. Ain't like Matt Barnes ain't going to play. He might get a couple minutes, but he's not going to play.
Not to mention, too, the Warriors had 9 days off in between the conference finals and the finals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that would have been plenty of time to post bail.
Easy. Let me tell you what I bet happened when Matt Barnes found out about this. Tell me she ain't have him driving my car. Tell me she didn't have him driving my car. Because I know she did not have him driving my car. Because it's all fun and games until you see the new dude driving your car. You remember with Hulk Hogan? You remember Hulk Hogan divorced his wife and she started dating one of their kids' friends? And Hulk Hogan said that he saw the kid driving around the car that he paid for and then offered one of the more unfortunate quotes of all time where he said that he then understood how O.J. Simpson felt. The car is the level on which people get really, really, really sensitive about it. I don't fully understand what it is, but I know you ain't had that dude out here driving my car.
Well, think about the movie Baby Boy. When Tyrese's character saw Jody saw Snoop's character, what was his name? Rodney?
Oh, yeah.
Saw Rodney driving the car?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
But at least that was her car, right? The way Matt Barnes sees it and the way the registration reads, it is his car. And you flipped my car over a guardrail. Like, forget about who flipped my car over a guardrail. We're going to start with the fact that my car flipped over a guardrail. Then I'm going to find out you had him, a.k.a. your man's, driving my car, and he been drinking. What you been doing? What were you over there doing? By the way, Derek Fisher, is anybody taking a harder reputation hit in the last couple of years without there being any, actual scandal? Right? There's been no actual scandal. So what we have, the whispers about him being Coach Steal Your Girl. Right? So we had that, Coach Steal Your Girl. And then the Matt Barnes thing where I don't have any evidence that Derek Fisher did anything wrong. Like, I understand why Matt Barnes didn't please, but we don't know that Derek Fisher was dirty macking in that situation. But all of a sudden, Derek Fisher became the patron saint of the dirty mac associated with sports. And then this happens. He ain't never getting another job.
It's just funny how it works where him as a failure as a head coach with the Knicks is third or fourth on this list.
Right. He's not getting any other job in any way. You can't make him a broadcaster. I don't know where you can publicly put Derek Fisher at this point. And his whole rep fell apart because the streets felt like he was out here dirty macking. But I do kind of feel like, once you flip over the car and it's registered to Matt Barnes, there is a certain Je suis Matt Barnes element to this whole thing, right? Like, we all kind of out here like, yeah, if I was Matt Barnes, dog, you got drunk and flipped my car over with, quote-unquote, my wife in it? Ooh. 888-729-3776. That's our telephone number. Coming up next, we will try to crack the mystery. Did Steph Curry intimate that he was pooping on the floor?
Thanks for listening to the Right Time Podcast. Please come back tomorrow for more. And don't forget to listen to The Right Time with Bomani Jones from 4 p.m. to 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.